Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Let's Get Some Perspective, presented by, sponsored by, powered by the Black Psychologist Network, where we discuss all things mental health and trending topics going on in the world. I am one half of your humble and gracious host, Dr. Kyle Osborne. He is I, and I am him. And of course, you all know I'm not flying this plane by myself. I'm here with the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, my friend, my brother, Dr. Jason Coleman. What is going on, my guy?
Man, it was good. I can't complain. I'm blessed. It's a good week, man. We off from work this week. How you been holding up?
I'm good, man. It's 2025. Here we are, man. Good so far. We about a day in so far, day and a half in. So it's good. It's good. You do anything for the holiday?
Yeah, hang out with the family. Saw a couple of good movies. Gladiator 2 was good. Other than that, I'm always one to kind of spend a little time in a nice lounge, a nice restaurant. So just been doing a little bit of that. You know, what you been up to, bro?
Yo, what you think of Gladiator 2?
I thought it was good. I mean, I liked it. Denzel is always, he's always going to do his thing. Um, Obviously, there was a little bit of. Oh, I don't want to give the movie away, but the main character and his connection to the last one was a little bit like, I mean, I don't know. It was a little basic, but in terms of like the gore and all of that, all of the fight scenes, all of the stuff that you tune in for, I think it was cool. You know,
It was definitely a lot more action than the first one.
yeah.
Yeah, no, Denzel did his thing. No, I was chilling, bro. Listen, I wish I could probably go out a little bit more, but I realized, the body can't withstand all that partying, bro. I can't. I got a too too long of a recovery period, man. It takes like a full day to recover from going out. So I chilled during New Year's, man. Just chilled in the crib. I was able to stay up though. Typically, past couple of years, I faded a little bit, but I was able to stay up, watched a couple of some binge watched a couple shows, and then yeah, that was it. But for overall for the holiday season, kind of laid low, seen family, ate good, had some time off from work, so low key.
That's what's up. Can't complain about that. That's a good time, right?
Yeah, man, absolutely. And we definitely want to continue to thank all the our viewers for continuing to lock in with us. The subs are growing. So we appreciate you guys continuing to support us, giving comments and liking and subscribing, continue to tell a friend. And yeah, we absolutely love the support even into the new year. So continue. Run out and tell a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Definitely. Again, everybody that continues to listen week after week, we appreciate it because you could be anywhere. So we appreciate y'all hanging with us. And again, content's going to continue and change a little bit in 2025. We always adjusting.
Absolutely. Speaking about adjusting. All right, Jay, it is January, so we know with January every 4 years that there is an incoming new commander in chief. All right, so we got the inauguration is going to be happening in about 2 or 3 weeks, and something that recently came out is HBCU, Mississippi Valley State University, recently posted on social media that their marching band has been invited to Washington D.C. to perform at Trump's presidential inauguration parade, and they were asking for help to help raise funds so they could attend. However, been a lot of backlash about them attending the inauguration or even participating in it. Right, so I'm gonna read a couple of comments because it's kind of wild. All right, so one commenter said, marching for somebody who wouldn't march for you. Another person said, performing for a president that wants to erase blacks from the history books. Another person commented, you don't have to go to every party you're invited to. And then another one had put, I'm not paying for anyone to attend a Klan rally. And these were just some of the more like soft comments, right? So let's get some perspective on this. All right. You got a HBCU, Mississippi Valley State University, that are, that were invited to attend or perform at the parade, and this is the backlash that they've been getting. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest, man. I don't like this. I don't like this for the reason that, like, this continues to contribute to that
You don't like
dichotomous
the
adversarial type of thinking.
you don't like the backlash?
Yeah, no, they're kids. Like, these are kids, these are college students, man. Like, these are 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that have been given an opportunity to perform at inauguration. And I get, like, this is not everybody's favorite president, right? I totally get
Hmm.
that for a variety of valid reasons. I don't believe that you should be coming at the kids, right? Like, in the type of, like, as vicious as some of these comments are, because at the end of the day, while you may not support him, the kids are asking, say, hey, this is an opportunity. They want to go and participate in it. And this is the backlash that they're getting. Like, they're getting roasted online, bro, like on social media. And
Well,
so that's what I
I
don't like. I don't like that vicious response.
I would say this: if this was just about, and I'm just speculating, but if this was just about kids from an HBCU who love the band and love music performing for a conservative Republican administration, I would agree with you 100%. This is not necessarily that, right? This is, so I'm sure the backlash. Now, was it targeted at the kids or the administration for not turning down the opportunity?
It looks like both. It looks like, if you look at, like, just the comments, they're coming at the kids, they're coming at the administration, and they're coming at the school itself. So they're just like, they're going wild, just coming at everybody.
So again, um, if it was my kid, right, I would have a talk with them about what represents about what symbolism is sometimes, right, and how people can be propped up and used, as symbols for certain things, right. We've had this discussion about, listen, anybody can vote for whoever they want, but we've had this discussion about people that I perceived as to be props, that are sitting behind Donald Trump with the Blacks for Trump signs and all this other stuff, right. um I think this reaction, I think it's warranted. You know what I mean? I think it comes from positions that Donald Trump has taken, towards people of color going back to the 80s and housing discrimination, right? And bringing it current when we talk about, like, people that are from shithole countries, right? Which I'm sure are some of those people that are on that marching band. Now, how people are going about it, that culturally there's going to be a loud response. Just even if we remove culture, the fact that social media gives us anonymity, the response is going to be harsh and it's going to be extreme. You know what I mean? That is what social media affords people when they give them that much privacy. Um, so again, I just want to be clear on what I'm saying. If this was just about performing for a conservative presidency, I would be all on board, right? We have Republicans on Howard's campus, people that believe in conservative views, and if we being honest, a large amount of people of color have conservative views. You know what I mean? But I think this specific response, is a response to Donald Trump. It's not necessarily a response to a Republican administration. I don't think you would have this much backlash if they were going to perform at Mitt Romney's inauguration or George W. Bush.
And
It would
you know what?
sound it would sound ridiculous,
To your There have been plenty of HBCUs that have performed at, like Howard. Howard performed at the first W. Bush, George's, at his inauguration back in the late '80s, and Grambling State has performed. FAMU has performed at other different, like, conservative or Republican inaugurations. And I get it, right? Like, I get what Trump represents in the comments and all the other different things. What I'm looking at it as, this is an opportunity where, one, who you don't get this invite very often, right? Like, I don't know, I'm not in the marching band realm. I don't know, like, how that whole landscape, how it operates, who gets what invite for what, when, and all these different things. If the kids, and I think, I would hope, right, that whoever the director of the band, right, has that conversation with the kids of, hey, this is what this person represents, so on and so forth. And if the kids still want to do it because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I agree with you, having that conversation with your kid, like from parent to child, like, hey, X, Y, and Z, and they still want to move forward with it. Hey, it's an opportunity, right? This could be a historic moment. This also gives Mississippi Valley State a lot of attention, right? Maybe they get more funding, maybe they don't from whatever. I'm just saying. I don't
Nah,
like the
that's,
reaction. I
I
don't I
gotta
don't
get
like
off.
the reaction.
I gotta get off the train with you when it comes to that, because it's like I can't sit on the call and pretend to you that this is just an opportunity and Donald Trump hasn't presented himself as a racist and a xenophobe. And we're talking about a HBCU. Like, this is not just a regular college, right? Now, we could take we could take, kind of the thought process you have now. We also have to remember the environment that we're putting children in, right? Remember what happened, at the Capitol at Donald Trump's direction, right? It'll be safe to assume that at his inauguration, his supporters will be there, right? Which include neo Nazis, KKK, a lot of elements that we don't usually see at inaugurations, right? So that's why past inaugurations are really, in my humble opinion, irrelevant, because you didn't necessarily have past Republican or Democratic candidates who are openly courting neo Nazis and the KKK, right? And I have a problem with putting black children, okay, in an area where Trump hats are supposed to symbolize, that certain groups of people are in danger, right? And I think that those situations have proven that they can get out of control, like Charlottesville, you know, um, like the Capitol, and like several other Trump protests, right? And the inauguration is the epitome of a Trump gathering. So again, my opposition to it starts with what he represents, but it ends with, I don't believe in putting, I would never, advise black children to go to a KKK rally and protest. It's not an environment I would want them to be in. You understand? And HBCUs, if they was my babies coming from Howard University, I would beg them not to go, because I don't think they need that experience. I'm gonna be very honest, and I don't, unless somebody can tell me something tangible that's gonna come out of it, not shaking the president's hand. I'm talking about a job opportunity. Then, to me, I think it's more of the administration checking a box saying, yeah, we got HBCUs here. And, every opportunity ain't necessarily a good one, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
you make a good point on the safety aspect, right? I 100% agree with you with the safety aspect. Things can get out of hand from that notion. I have no retort
I don't want
on that
my
aspect. I
my
have
babies nowhere near the Proud Boys, who have gained their fame from punching on grown men, punching on people on the videos. They ain't gonna come punch on me and you. You understand? But I don't know that, if you put a 18-year-old, 19-year-old black male, black woman out there, I don't know that they're not going to be vulnerable and victimized. And Donald Trump cannot be the person that is in charge of protecting them or his team. So that's why I would be vehemently against it. But, again,
you make a good point on that. I can't argue that aspect of it. I do, again. I don't like the response coming at the kids because it seemed like it was a lot coming at the kids, the school, and I don't think that's fair to them, right? But we'll see. We'll see.
like
We'll
I
see how
said,
it
if
goes.
this, if
You know what I mean?
if this was about like voting Republican or going to a Republican event or being a black conservative, I would be 100% with you. But this particular candidate, it's this particular candidate. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion.
It's absolutely a little different. So we shall see.
Yeah,
All
we got
right.
to
Speaking.
follow up on that.
Absolutely. Speaking of marching or walking, all right. The recent study came out and mentioned that just 1,000 more steps a day could reduce your risk of depression. All right, now I want to put out a disclaimer on this because I also saw while I was looking at this article and some that were similar to it. It was also some articles that I felt like were like a little bit misleading, where it said depression can be prevented with a specific daily step count. That's not true. All right. Let
They said
me
that
just
in
put
the
that
article.
disclaimer out there. It's saying it on a couple. You know how when articles come out and then they start to kind of get lashed on to other websites, and then
Mhm.
it kind of gets filtered down, and then all of a sudden it's nowhere near, and this information gets started to put out. And I feel like sometimes with mental health, this happens. So what I don't want to happen, especially because we run a very um, prestigious platform that's full of integrity.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want it to be a situation where people will misconstrue this or misunderstanding, thinking that, oh, if you work a certain amount of steps, that you can't experience depression. But that's not what this is, right? So just to be clear, what the article stated was that it was a research involving 33 studies and involving more than 96,000 adults. And the data that came from these studies was that the number of steps were linked to reduced depression symptoms. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But I
So
did see when I was looking it up, I did see like the wording could have someone think that, oh, well, if I'm just walking, just walking is gonna, I'm not gonna get depression. That's not the case.
people have to understand that any tips that we might give related to like depression, anxiety, right, eating right, right, sleeping right, your diet, oh, all of these things, exercise. We're talking about ways that you can insulate yourself from depressive symptoms, not prevent depression, right? But these are ways that you can insulate yourself. You know, these
Yeah.
are like positive um, behaviors in terms of promoting positive and appropriate mental health, right? Healthy functioning. So these are the things that are going to insulate you from depressive symptoms, help you manage stress, all of those things. But of course, it's not going to remove your depression, right?
All about reducing risk. That's what we're here to do, right? So the study found that walking 5,000 or more steps daily was linked to fewer depression symptoms. And then it said there were more benefits for mental health when seen when people walked at least 7,500 steps a day. Um, so yeah, so as we just kind of broke it down, um, I mean, this is something that we've talked about, I feel like previously, just with different activities, but absolutely with steps. What I like is that they're showing that it's not just that all or nothing, right? It's not a situation where you have to walk 10,000. But I want to say there was research like a few years ago that highlighted if you walk 10,000 steps and it reduced your risk of depression. And for some people, that may be difficult. And that can, cause someone to be overwhelmed or just feel like, well, I can't get to 10,000 steps. What's the point of doing anything? I like the fact that there's more additional research saying that, hey, you know what? Any type of activity is going to be helpful. So it's 5,000 steps, and you can get to 5,000 steps easier than you think, right? Like if you have a dog, if you're walking around the office or lunch, whatever the case may be. I'm happy that advanced research is actually highlighting, hey, it doesn't have to be 10,000. It can be 5,000. It can be 7,500. It can be 6,000. Any type of exercise, right? Like exercise leads or contributes to longevity, and now more research is coming out that it also leads to that reduced depression symptoms. And you know you're a big nature guy. I'm a big nature person. I love walking, even though despite the weather's got colder, I still make some time to walk around my campus at lunchtime just to get my steps in, also just to kind of get that breather. And absolutely, again, it's to help insulate you, like you were saying, Jay, to anxiety, depression, all these other different things. Because when you walk, it's going to be a higher number of these different types of a release of like your dopamine, your serotonin, all these other different transmitters that are going to be helpful for you. So I'm happy that there's more and more research coming out.
And that's kind of what I was going to say. I'm just going to double down on what you said. This is my personal belief. I'm not, so this is coming from Jason, not anybody else. But when people are experiencing anxiety, when they're experiencing like symptoms of depression or anxiety, like I always encourage people to exercise or move or engage in some type of activity, right? Like that requires like physical movement, concentration, right, and strength at times, right? If you're running in, whether you're running in place, doing push-ups, whatever it may be, or doing 1,000 steps, to me that is one of the quickest ways to get relief from anxiety, from depressive symptoms. If you want to relax yourself, if you want to clear your mind, right? Because as we know, you know, you just talked about dopamine, serotonin, different transmitters that are released. And we also know like our body can't exist in two states, right? Um, so if we're anxious or if we're frustrated and we start to exercise, then inevitably we're going to relax and our mood is going to kind of um, modify and change itself with it. So I think that's what the article is trying to say. I don't know if it articulated it that well, um, but that's what it's trying to say. I always encourage my clients, like while they're waiting for their therapy session or after they take their whatever it is, is to, if they're feeling some type of way and if they want to change their mood quickly, I always suggest either music or physical activity, right? Because those are the two ways you can kind of feed your body and your mind immediately. Everybody has a song that makes them excited, makes them happy, makes them sad, you know. So it's kind of like a mental health kind of toolkit, first aid kit. Um, Music can change your mood like that. Smell of food can change your mood like that. The sound of the person who you love voice can change your mood like that, and 50 push-ups could change your mood like that. you
The
know.
best things about walking is that it's free, right? It works for everybody's budget. It's a situation where whether you're walking in your office, whether you're walking down the hallway, you're walking outside around your building, or wherever the case may be, like you can get walking in, right? Even if you're just walking kind of back and forth, it's something that it can also be built upon, right? So if your goal is to, you know what, let me walk 500 steps today,
Mm-hmm.
you can build upon that and say, you know what, I did that for a week, did that for 2 weeks, 1,000 steps. It's always something that you can continue to push yourself. And before you know it, end of the month, end of the year, you could be at 10,000 steps. It's something that I think you can find a way to fit into your schedule. Um, and it's something that, again, you can also personalize it. So, like you said, whether it be the steps, whether it's like you doing more stretching, any of those activities where a body in motion stays in motion, and it works for everybody's schedule and everybody's budget. So, absolutely, I'm hoping that they're continuing to do more and more research to highlight how important walking and activity is, and yeah, this is I'm happy. I like this one. This is good. You
Yeah,
know.
it's pretty good.
Yeah. Also, look out for Jason's nature video coming out, guys. Don't you know what I mean? He's working on that right now as we speak.
Yeah,
Got the
coming
J
soon.
coming soon. It's coming soon, yo. He's out there. You know, out there taking on the element. All right, Jay, you familiar with you a Tyler Perry? I mean Tyler Perry fan?
No, but I give him a lot of credit for it. He's a very successful producer. But no, I'm not a fan at all. I wasn't a fan of the plays, and I'm not really a fan of the movies.
Listen, I was a fan of the plays when they first came out, and then I kept every time I kept seeing the movie and each play, they were the same plot. So, but I'm not gonna hate on him. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not hating
he's
on him either.
yeah,
I'm just not
yeah,
really a fan of. Uh, Listen, I wasn't a fan of Big Mama's House. Like I wasn't a fan of Miss Doubtfire, and I'm not. It's not a. We're not going down a homophobic category, nothing like that. But it's just me seeing like women dress up like men or men dress up like women doesn't make me laugh. Like I'm not disgusted by it, but it's just silly to me. It's not Halloween, but it's just silly. So the whole premise of the joke, like Big Mama's House, if you don't think that looks funny, or Robin Givens in that movie, you don't think it's funny, then the whole rest of the movie is kind of a rap. That's
yo,
that's
Miss
kind of Tyler Perry's whole spiel. You know what I'm saying?
Mrs. Doubtfire was fire, bro. Mrs. Doubtfire was cool, but Robin
It
Williams,
was.
you know what I mean. But listen, so Tyler Perry, amazing entrepreneur, amazing mind, very very creative. BET is like Tyler Perry right now. Like it's pretty much like by Tyler Perry. So he was recently in an interview, and also he just came out with a movie, 688, which is really good.
I
With the
heard great
yeah,
things about
that's
that.
good. That's good. I got to give my man props on that. So shout out to Tyler Perry on that one. That's on Netflix. World War II film.
Yeah, I
African
heard great
American
things.
female soldiers. Kerry Washington is great. Um, so he was in an interview while promoting the movie, and they asked him about like his family and about his kids and parenting style. So he said, and this is kind of like taken on a life of its own. He says that his son is only allowed to fly, was only allowed to fly coach for years. He said that his son used to ask, how come he can't fly on daddy's plane or whatever the case may be. And so he said, in an effort to not spoil him, um, Tyler and I guess the child's mother said that they don't allow him to fly like private or fly on Tyler's plane, or he's only allowed to fly coach.
I was confused.
Yeah.
When I read this, I thought they were offline coach to teach him a lesson. So they're on the private plane and they're sending him coach.
Right. No, Tyler has his plane. He has a plane.
Yeah. Now,
You see,
now I
you see
just
what I'm
think
talking about?
I just think it's extra and it's pointless. I'm gonna just be honest. Yo, okay.
Let's get some perspective.
So this is the hill he's gonna die on. Do you think Tyler Perry's kids went to public school? Right. This is my whole point. So you know where I'm going with this. You know why would he would make us, walk him down on this one? I don't get it, but there's nobody is going to convince me that Tyler Perry and or his family or anybody with a private plane has a regular life. So what are you doing? Like if you want to send him to, do some service, you want to send him to, serve the homeless,
Scared straight.
right. If you want to send him to do service, that's one thing. But that's like me living in a mansion, right? And saying, listen, son, you see all those Rolls Royce out there? You got to drive the Honda. I'm teaching you a lesson. Like what? Is that your
That's what he said. He said that he's teaching him that dad
right?
makes the money and earns it, not him. So he has
Right.
to
So it's
look
not a
more
life
common life.
lesson. It's really just a flex for himself. It's not a life lesson. Listen,
Like,
my father
yeah.
used to teach me the same lesson, but he wasn't extreme. He would just walk in my room. He'd be like, yo, you kind of fresh, right? He'd be like, yo, the Jordans is mine, the jeans is mine, the jacket is mine, and I pay for your haircut. So don't ever walk out this house thinking that you did all of that, because it's all mine. And I got the lesson. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
my dad said, "You listen, I could pay for a million PlayStations for you, but I won't because I'm working, not you." He let me know real quick.
I mean, listen, I know the intent, but I just don't get it because I mean, we're just speculating, but odds are Tyler Perry's son's first car isn't going to be like any of ours. They're not going to public school. You know what I mean? Even the food they eating at home ain't regular. Like, you understand? They probably got a chef. Like, stop, bro. What are you doing? Like, what are we doing here?
That's what I'm saying. Like, as a parent, I totally get what you're trying to do, right? Like, you're trying to instill a lot of values, humility, gratitude, all these other different things, right? Like, hey, this isn't a life that's afforded to everybody. X, Y, and Z. Humble, right? I get the parenting style, or I get its philosophy. At the same time, there are other ways to drive home this message, right? There are different ways, like you mentioned, volunteering, community service. Because here's the thing with that. Well, you're saying, and I don't know how often the kid flies, right? Maybe every so often. What about the other aspects of life? Like for me, it's not a situation where it's going to translate to every avenue. Like so, like you said, are they having two different meals? Like, is it a situation where I'm getting my private chef, but you're going to get like these raviolis out the can,
Come on,
right?
man.
Like what do like that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a little flawed in that philosophy because is it going to be all? And it's like, oh, it's okay for you to have the fine dining or fine aspects of life here in certain elements, but when it comes to transportation, I'm going to take the Bentley. You're taking the bus.
Come on. I just don't understand his point. Like, what you think Christmas looked like at the Perrys? You think it looked like regular Christmas somewhere
I'm
else?
happy. I'm happy you mentioned. He said he only buys his son blocks and Legos and books. He
How
said
old is
only
his
books.
son? How old is his son, though?
I think 10.
Wait a minute. The 10-year-old is the one that's not flying private? Tyler Perry's out his mind. Next subject. He's out his mind. A 10-year-old, you just being mean. You're not teaching him no lesson. Like, yo, what are you doing? Like,
Mean spirited.
yeah, like, that doesn't, listen.
So you're just neglecting him. Like at this point, it's more of a
Yeah.
situation where, like, yeah, Daddy, I'm gonna meet you in Atlanta. You gonna take this here Spirit. I'm
You're gonna
hopping on
take
the
Spirit,
G5.
and guess what? The nanny is gonna go with you.
Daddy, you're taking the daddy. Like, yo, just at this point, it's just neglect. Like he just
I,
wants to spend time with you.
I
Like,
just, I just don't get it, man. Like
like yeah,
people
bro.
be,
I think yeah, it's a bit much. I believe. Like I get the philosophy, Tyler, but there are other avenues to try to reinforce
yo, that shit would
this
make
message.
that shit would make more sense to me, bro, if he videotaped it and uploaded it to his page. Because then I'll be like, yo, it's just for clout and it's not real. But the fact that he actually said this to somebody in an interview, I mean, listen, well, we've covered Tyler Perry before for similar stuff he says. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. But I'm just, listen, I get it. He's very successful, but I'm just not a fan. My grandmother ain't never act like that. And I don't know nobody grandmother who act like how he act when he put on a dress. So I've told you my opinion on him. Listen, I think Tyler Perry, he provides a lot of people with a lot of jobs. You know what I mean? But in terms of our image in the public, I think he's done nothing but exploit it. I mean, I think you could have a similar conversation about Tyler Perry and the content he puts out and gangster rappers. I think it would be a very interesting conversation because I'm sure that in his mind, he's going to tell you he's telling the story of people that he knew, right? But unfortunately, when those stories get picked up by the mainstream public, it gets transplanted on all of us like that is our family, right? Ask that to any black man that's ever worked in a professional environment and had a white boy or somebody that ain't black walk up to him and say, "Hey, what's up?"
Man, everybody's got a Medea in their family, right? Let's let
So
him tell
again,
it.
I don't want to take it there because it's not really that conversation. But
Yeah, I don't know,
Tyler
Tyler.
Perry,
There's
you
a
know,
there's a there's an easier way to kind of you know drive home this message, Tyler.
yeah,
You'll
I
be all
just
right.
think it's a little easier. But
Yeah, I can't believe in your kid on Spirit while you out there flying. Not
yo, like, what are
that's
you
a 10-year
doing,
old.
bro?
Yeah, I'll meet you. I'll meet you in California. All right, and you gonna live in Crenshaw. I'm going to Beverly Hills.
I'll meet you, and then you're gonna take an Uber to our house in Beverly
You,
Hills. Like,
yeah, right.
what are we doing?
I don't know. He's living in an outhouse, man. Poor kid. All right. Speaking of children, a recent report came out discussing teenagers or adolescents and young adults and jobs. So, according to the report, over 20% of 16 to 25-year-olds missed either school or work over the past year due to psychological issues. And some young people even avoid applying to jobs, with 18% of the age bracket not sending resumes and 12% missing interviews because of anxiety, depression, or other reasons. And missing out on work opportunities is making their mental health even worse. 43% of the study respondents said that the cost of living has caused them negative psychological effects. And the report mentioned it's not as if the cohort doesn't want to work. The majority of Gen Z respondents said 62% mentioned that they think having a job would actually be better for their mental health. So let's get some perspective on this topic. Um, I wanted some more information, but the article didn't provide some. Like I wanted to know kind of I want to know, I guess, more about their background. Like, is this a situation or a group of individuals that, in regards to like the job aspect, like,
Mm-hmm.
had they have experience like working previously or like kind of preparation? Like, that was kind of more my question. Like, it wasn't a lot of information that was in there, but yeah, I mean, I can
Now, what was
understand.
it? What was the statistic again?
So over 20% of the 16 to 25-year-olds said they either missed school or work over the past year due to psychological issues, right?
Okay.
And they said that some of them avoided applying to jobs, with 18% not even sending resumes and 12% missing interviews because of anxiety, depression, and other reasons.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are some of my thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
In regards to like the missing interviews and not sending resumes. And I would have to see more information, but I'm speculating. I'm wondering that due to this is a generation that that was pretty much born into social media, right? Like this is social
Mm-hmm.
media and having their phone attached to them is all they've ever known, right? They were indoctrinated into it. And I'm wondering because of that being such of an independent, kind of more isolatory activity, if that's contributed to some of the activities, or especially not even just regular activities, but these are kind of like life developing activities, things, right? Where you're talking about interviewing at jobs, getting a job, things of that nature. If that's kind of impacted them, right? In the sense of before it's just you and whatever's on the screen, you're kind of like, there's not a lot of depth involved in that. But now when you're talking about getting a job, you know, and I know that yeah, you got to fill out the application, which is going to take a certain amount of time. You got to actually talk to the person that's interviewing you. And I can see how that could activate some form of anxiety if it's something that you've only been kind of used to just being on your phone. So um, that's my thought, kind of initially. I don't know. What do you think, Jack?
We're, I mean, we're in different times, right? Um,
Right.
we're in times where we have a group of students who some of them graduated, during a time period where they hadn't been in school in person for 2 years, right? We're in a time period where, um, we have some teenagers that have the same amount of, friends online as other people have outside in the world, right? So you got some people who will tell you that their best friend or their girlfriend or all of the relationships that they've ever had, they've never seen any of these people. They've never shared space with them. They've never felt their energy. It's just literally typing to them, right? So, or maybe talking to them on the phone. Um, so listen, that's going to impact your social skills and your social functioning. It's not at the same talking through a computer. You're not going to have the same. You don't have to regulate your emotions that necessarily the same way. You know, so I think it kind of supports what I see in real life, which is, I see a lot of like anxiety and depression symptoms where we used to see like aggression and acting out, quite frankly, especially when we're talking about teenagers. Um, the kids that used to be like the rebellious kids in high school and all of that, they're still there, but it's a smaller percentage from what I see. Most of these kids have anxiety, and a lot of it is social, right? It's related to their relationships. It's related to their um, interactions with their family, and then kind of like internalizing like how they feel about themselves and their self confidence. And a lot of those things, if you ask me, can be tied back to some of the experiences that kids have and parents and teachers and coaches facilitate in real life. It's not all that, but part of it is that, and then part of it again, I don't mean to kill the parents, but you know, um, tablets aren't babysitters, right? You still got to engage your kids in conversation, right? Phones aren't babysitters, right? But they can they can be a very good band-aid for a temporary amount of time, right? Because it keeps your kids quiet, it keeps them occupied, they're not bothering you, right? But they're also not really being stimulated, and I think the result, what we're seeing 3 4 5 years down the line, um, is like I'm seeing a lot of anxiety, like a lot of anxiety with these kids. And the crazy part is like every case I used to get when I was an intern or 10 years ago, 15, 10, 12 years ago, like it was anger, it was acting out, it was aggression, um, but those kids aren't the minority anymore. I mean, those kids aren't the majority anymore, so it kind of matches up with what you're talking about because it's what I see.
I also wonder if it's a situation where a lot of it's not so much a lot of those jobs are like brick and mortar anymore, right? If you think about it, we've kind of transition into. There's a lot of things. Well, one, you can make a lot of money just being on your phone. You can make a lot of money being online. All these other different resources where it's not so much where people were as motivated, I think, at least, a generation ago, to go off and go get a job at the mall, go get a job at fast food, go off because that's the way you made money. Everything is now more technology based. So I'm also wondering if with that transitioning from kind of gradually kind of steering away from all the in person, people are doing so many different things where they're on YouTube, where they're on social media, trying to do all these things where you're making it via your phone or social media or whatever the case may be. And I think that might be, well, hey, yeah, you're not going to have as many people completing resumes or they even know how to complete a resume because that's not what the goal is. And anything that might be outside of that is going to be foreign and is going to be anxiety provoking, right? Like, oh, you want, your mom or your dad or whoever is like, yo, go get a job at whatever store. And they're like, well, I don't know how to do that. Like, you want me to go out and go deal with people? No, I thought I was going to go do this, online. Me and my friend, we were going to do these skits or this other different short content to make money and all these other different things because that's become their norm. They grew up watching that.
Right.
So now if it's like, hey, I'm just want to be straight on this, right, on technology, or this generation has become kind of so accustomed to that, gone are like you going to get the job part time at Fridays, or you working at like Best Buy or whatever the case may be, or working at the mall. Like it's not
Everybody
the
want to be a
same.
content creator.
Everybody want to be a content creator, right? And then also you got to think about it. What comes with being a content creator? Like I feel like a lot of criticism, right, in the comments. And unfortunately, people only tend to, of course, focus on all the negative comments, right? You can get 100 great comments, but if you get those 2 or 3 negative comments, they're going to unfortunately focus on those. And what does that do for a child's mental health? So I just kind of see some of those things that I think probably are contributing to why they miss school or why they miss work because of some of the things that are activating or contributing to the depression, anxiety, which unfortunately is on social media. And then resumes, missing interviews, right? Like think about it. Like if you haven't developed, to your point, Jay, any social skills, how are you going to sit in front of an individual that's going to determine whether they're going to give you the job or not? Like you're going to be an anxiety wreck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and then if you can't get the job, right? Say you did apply or you bomb the interview and then you don't get it. Yeah, that's going to create a vicious cycle of I'm worthless, hopeless, all these other different things because you didn't get it, and then it just spirals out. It's tough, man. Tough,
Yeah,
like you
man.
said.
And to be honest with you, just to kind of add, like, the times we in, the I don't know, like the foundation is shifting a little bit. You know, a lot of jobs are not in person anymore. A lot of things are online. And who knows what kind of skills these kids have. Who knows what they went to school for. Who knows like what world they were preparing for pre-COVID, and the world that they entered could be totally different, right? Because there are certain industries, certain jobs where you could see people that were in school for customer service or for travel and leisure or certain things, and when they got out of college that year or the next year, like the industry was gone, and they had to wait for it to kind of rebuild itself. Um, or the people that were already in those jobs are kind of staying in them and it's not growing, right? Um, so, there's probably a whole bunch of reasons. Especially when we're talking about anxiety, there are other, statistics and studies that look at like how many of these graduates are still living at home, you know? So
Yep.
if you're still living at home and you need that job to get out of the house, that's going to contribute to how anxious you feel going into that job, Um, so there's a lot, I'm sure there's a lot of different kind of ingredients that are mixing together, and causing, this reaction because this study is not the only time this was brought up. Like you see employers talking about, their employees have less, than perfect social skills. When we talk about gender, there certainly has been plenty of articles and studies and well, not studies, but articles and podcast discussions and things that have looked at like male social skills and the perception that our social skills have gone down considerably, especially when we talk about like socializing with female or with women and those things. So there are a lot of things that contribute. But again, whether it be social media, whether it be the pandemic, whether it be things moving online and you having less opportunities to kind of, develop those skills in person, we have a generation of people that are below the age of like 35 years old, that really don't know how to socialize too good, So that's going to be a problem because you got to remember in 10 to 15 years, they're going to be teaching other people how to socialize.
Yeah, that's really concerning, right? Because whether it's an oversaturated market, because not everybody can be a content creator, not everybody can have these online different things. So that's kind of come to the, or also what is this particular generation and what do they value in regards to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. Like their value or their work ethic or what they think about work can be completely different from the generation before them. So, and if you don't have those skills to kind of keep up with whatever industry you're trying to go into or whatever industry you're trying to get into with oversaturated, and you mentioned like student debt, if you're going to school, not enough jobs or whatever the case is, again, there's just such a variety of things that they're kind of up against. So, and also if you're missing school, like if you're saying people are missing school and work, then how are you going to be able to keep up with the subject matter or even keep the job, right? If 20% of them are missing work, then where are we at? So,
yeah, man, I'm sure this is not going to be the last time that issue comes up, Yeah. But damn, like,
tough.
what do the employers do, man? You can't. People are not showing up for interviews. The people that work there want to go virtual. They don't want to come in the building. And a lot of employers get all the time nowadays is like, yo, can I do everything virtually? So man, everybody's feeling it, bro.
Yeah, and you got to look at it. If you filter it down, if you have some people that aren't coming up for the interviews, what if you get the candidate that is coming up for the interview that's not a great candidate, but you're like, yo, I got to hire somebody. So
I'm sure there's plenty of that going on.
Yeah, so we'll see, man. We shall see. Anything else before we get out of here, Jeff?
Nah, just again, we want to thank everybody that's been riding with us. We appreciate the support, and we're gonna keep it going in 2025. So appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. Appreciate everybody locking in. Jay, until next episode, my guy.
All right, bro. Till next time.
Bye.
Later.